She heard hooves, slow, dragging, wrong. She set her knife down, wiped her hands on her skirt, and stepped onto the porch. The man slumped sideways on the saddle, blood darkening the front of his shirt. One arm hung limp, the other cradled a bundle. The baby didn't cry, just blinked, like it had already seen too much. The man's voice rasped, barely a whisper. "Don't let him cry. They'll hear." She didn't ask who. She didn't move. The horse shifted. The man slid. His back hit the dirt with a wet crack. The baby landed softly in his chest, still quiet. She stepped forward, lifted the child. Hot, small, sticky from the man's blood. He opened one eye. "You got water?" "Inside." "Hide us first." "Are you bleeding out?" "Not yet." She turned. The door creaked. She walked slowly, baby in her arms. He dragged himself after her, boots thudding like stones. The screen slammed shut behind them. She laid the baby on the kitchen table, checked for wounds. None. Just smudged cheeks and a cold chain around his neck. The locket hung crooked over his chest. She glanced at the man, now slouched against the wall. "Who are you?" He coughed. "Shoemaker." "That's your baby." He stared at her. "Ain't mine. Sheriff's." Her mouth didn't move. Her hand did, reached for a towel, wet it, cleaned the baby's face. "You bring the sheriff's baby to my gate?" "I had no choice." "Are you sure about that?" He nodded, slow. "You used to be named Wren." She froze. The baby's fingers clutched her thumb. She said nothing. "I heard stories," he said. "About the fire, the quilt house, about the one who vanished." "You heard too much." "Not enough." She took the kettle off the stove, poured a cup, and slid it to him. He didn't touch it, just kept his eyes on the baby. "That locket," she said, flat. "Where'd you get it?" He looked at her then. "Not scared, just tired. The sheriff gave it to the boy, said it belonged to his mama once." She stepped back like slapped. "That's a lie." He didn't argue. She moved to the table, slowly unhooked the chain. The baby watched her, eyes wide and still. She snapped the locket open. Inside was a photo, curled, old. A baby in a blue dress, crooked smile, half missing tooth. Her own baby picture. She almost dropped it. "Who gave this to him?" Her voice cracked. "I told you." "Number who, really?" "I don't know." She walked to the man, stood above him. "How do you know my name?" "I did shoes for the sheriff's men. Heard them talk. Said Wren burned it all down, then disappeared." "Did I?" "I don't know." She sat down. Wood creaked under her weight. He said, "They said your mother hid things. In quilts, names, ledgers. That you knew. That's why they came for your sister." The room went still. The baby started to fuss. She picked him up again, almost without thinking. Rocked him. "You want me to believe that the sheriff—" "I don't care what you believe," the man cut in. "I just wanted to get the boy out." "You stole his son." "I stole nothing. I saved him." "From what?" He looked down. His voice barely makes a sound. "From the well house." Her chest tightened. "Are you lying?" "No." She held the baby tighter. He said, "There's others." "Where?" "Gone or buried." She didn't speak, just walked to the window, stared out at the fields gone yellow with drought. "He'll come," the man said behind her. "He always does." "You still got fire left in you." "I got silence. Sometimes that's worse." He smiled a little. She didn't. The baby reached up, touched her jaw. His fingers left blood streaks on her skin. She sat back down. The man winced. She asked, "What's your name?" "Clay." "Is that your real name?" "It's what I answer to." She glanced at his boots. Scuffed, patched, but the soles, new, handmade. "You're a shoemaker." "I said I was." She held the baby up. "What do you want from me?" "Just keep him safe." "Why me?" "Because his locket has your picture, and that house they burned still remembers your name." She said nothing. He leaned his head back. "He's got your eyes, you know." "No, he doesn't. He's got your fire." She looked down at the child. He blinked once, then smiled, wide and toothless. Clay whispered, "He doesn't cry 'cause he's scared. He cries 'cause the land remembers. You know what that means." She didn't answer. Outside, a crow screamed. Inside, she opened the locket again, touched the curled photo. Her thumb trembled. "That picture," she murmured. "My mama buried it with her. In the orchard." Clay looked at her, eyes heavy. Then you tell me how it ended up around his neck." She stood. The floor creaked. The baby cooed. The man's breathing slowed. She walked to the door, locked it, then locked the back one too, pulled the curtains. She returned to the table, set the baby down. He grabbed her sleeve. She gently pried the locket from around his neck. I opened it once more, held the photo to the lantern, looked close. The curl of the hair, the scar near the chin. Her voice was hollow. "That ain't just me." Clay's voice behind her faint now. "Then who is it?" She traced the edge of the image, then flipped it over. A name, smudged, but hers. She said nothing else, just held the locket tight and didn't let go. Her voice was cold. "Where'd you get this locket?" Clay didn't look at her, just stared at the lantern flame like it hurt his eyes. Blood crusted at his temple. His boots hadn't moved since he sat down. She stepped closer. "You're not deaf." I said, "I heard you." "So, answer." He blinked. The sheriff gave it to the baby, swore it'd keep him safe. She held the locket in front of his face, let it swing. "Safe from what?" "Same things that took your sister." Her grip tightened. "What things?" Clay exhaled, slow and low. "Whatever's still buried." She crouched, stared at him. "Buried where?" "You already know." "No, I don't. That well's been filled for 10 years. "Not deep enough." She stood, kicked his boot. "You're playing stupid." He winced. "I burned the whole place to ash." "No, you didn't." She opened the locket again. The baby's eyes followed the motion. "That's me," she said. "Not him. Me." "Then why's he got it?" "I want a name." "You already got one." "Not mine." "Hi." "The sheriff's." Clay licked his split lip. "You sure you want to say it?" She didn't blink. "Say it." "Ledger." Her jaw clenched. "No." Clay's voice softened. "You asked." "That ain't his name. That's what he called himself." He nodded once. "But it's what he signs." She stepped back. The baby shifted on the table, made a sound between a hiccup and a sob. She said, "Don't call him that around me." "All right." "He's not a man. He's rotting in a uniform." Clay looked at the baby. "Still his blood." She turned fast. "You think that means anything?" "I think it means he'll come for him." "He won't." "He will." "He never comes twice." "You're wrong." She walked to the sink, poured water, washing her hands. The blood wouldn't come out from under her nails. She said, "That fire should have taken everything." Clay said nothing. She leaned on the counter, back to him. "You know what it's like to sleep in your own blood? To hear someone scream through a mouth full of quilt stuffing?" He nodded. "You don't." He did anyway. She turned. "What was the name of the girl before me?" Clay didn't answer. "She was 13. Red dress. Eyes too wide." She smiled when he picked her. Clay looked away. "She went into that house and never walked back out." He whispered, "I fixed her shoes." "What?" "She brought them in. Said she needed 'em good for the church steps." Her throat tightened. "She never got to wear them." "No." "You took her name too." "No." "But you watched." He didn't speak. She asked, "How many?" His hands curled in his lap. "How many girls did he take?" He swallowed. "More than I know." The baby started to fuss. She scooped him up fast, rocked him on her hip. "Stop crying," she whispered. "Ain't no point." Clay watched them. She said, "Why did you bring him here?" "Because I heard what you did." "You heard wrong. I heard you lit a match, walked away, and never looked back." "I didn't walk. I ran." He nodded. "I left my sister in that well house. I left her because he said if I screamed, he'd pull her inside out." Clay's eyes dropped. "I lit that match, and I prayed the smoke would choke him." "You think it did?" "No." "Then you understand why I brought the baby here." She stared at him. "Same blood," he said. "Same locket. Same fire in the gut. He's not my responsibility." "He's not mine either." She looked at the boy. He was watching her. Quiet now, thumb in his mouth. He looked like no one she knew, but he felt like someone she forgot. She whispered, "He shouldn't exist." "Yet he does." She paced. Clay winced as he shifted, shoulder soaked through. She asked, "What else do you bring with you?" He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded cloth. She took it. Unwrap it slowly. Inside, a child's boot, torn at the toe, embroidered with yellow thread. She touched it. "I made this." "Thought so. I stitched that flower by hand. She wore it till she couldn't." She looked up. "Where'd you find this?" Buried behind the church house. She nearly dropped it. He said, Ledger kept everything. She sat down hard, the baby against her chest. Why'd you come now? Because I heard he was naming a successor. What? He's dying. I want someone to raise the child. I want the boy brought back. To what? To carry it on. She laughed, bitter. He wants his son to be sheriff? He wants him to be him. She looked down, the boot in one hand, the locket in the other. Her name is engraved in both. Her story sewed into things she never meant to survive. Clay's voice was soft. I didn't know who else to run to. She whispered, You think I can undo this? No. Then why? Because once you lit fire, maybe you still have some left. The baby yawned. His breath hitched like he might cry again. She rocked him, said nothing. Clay leaned back against the wall, blood seeping faster now. He said, barely above a breath, The sheriff said it'd keep the baby safe, same way it kept you. She tossed his muddy boot by the door. It thudded, rolled, landed sole up. Her breath caught. There, pressed into the heel. Thread, pale yellow, frayed at the end. Not from the stitching, from pulling. She crouched, ran her thumb across the edge. The thread was looped through something. A corner of fabric, small, triangular. She tugged gently. The boot resisted. The thread held. Clay shifted behind her, groaned. She said, Where'd you walk in? He didn't answer. She yanked the boot toward her. The thread gave, unraveling, dragging the corner of fabric with it. She pulled it free. It wasn't just any cloth. It was quilted. She sat still, slowly turned the square over. Hand-stitched diamonds, faded burgundy, faint initials sewn at the bottom corner. M.R. Her mother's. She looked at Clay. Where'd you get this? He opened his eyes. Get what? She held the quilt square up. From your boot. Where was it? He frowned. Didn't notice it was there. Bullshit. He winced as he sat upright. I swear I didn't. She stood. You know what this is? A quilt. My mother's, from her house. The one that burned. His brow furrowed. That was years back. Exactly. He glanced at the cloth. Maybe it was buried somewhere. She shook her head. Number this wasn't underground. How can you tell? She turned the fabric in the light. It smells like pine and smoke. Fresh. Not old. Clay looked away. She walked over, dropped the piece in his lap. That fire happened 10 years ago. You want to tell me how a clean piece of my mama's quilt ends up in your boot today? He didn't look up. I stopped by the ridge. That's all. You walked through the ridge? I had to go around town. And you stepped in her house? There's no house left. She stared. He sighed. There's a frame. Some bricks. Foundation. You stepped inside it. I didn't mean to, she whispered. Then why's it feel like she followed you out? The baby stirred on the table. Clay reached toward him, but she blocked him with her arm. Don't touch him. I wasn't. You think I don't know my own stitches? I don't doubt you. She knelt beside the fire, took a poker, jammed it in the coals. She muttered, They kept everything. What? They took our quilts, our plates, our damn bones, and now they walk around like it never happened. He rubbed his jaw. Maybe this was left behind. No? Then what? She stood. Somebody's been living in it. Clay frowned. In what? The shell, the burned-out frame, the pieces I left behind. He hesitated. Could be Ledger's men. They wouldn't dare. They would. She stepped closer. You know what this means, don't you? He nodded. You walked through something. I know. Something that ain't done with me. The baby coughed once, then settled. Clay said, What if it ain't Ledger? She looked at him hard. He said, What if someone else is dragging that house back up? She didn't answer. He asked, Do you ever leave anything under the floorboards? Her hand stilled. He caught it. What? She stepped back. Just old letters. From who? My father. He stared. She turned her face. He wrote things. After my sister vanished, said it wasn't Ledger. You think he lied? I think he was scared. Then why keep the letters? Because he was still mine. Clay nodded slowly. She tossed the poker aside. It clattered loud in the silence. She picked up the boot again, flipped it, dug at the mud in the treads. More threads, green this time. She peeled it out. He asked, Another quilt? She stood, frozen. Number A curtain. What? From my room. He paled. She whispered, "Somebody went through it, through the house, through me." He stood, shaky. "Then we need to go back." "To the house." "To the shell." She shook her head. "Not at night." "No." The baby whimpered. She lifted him, held him tight. "Why'd you come here, Clay?" "Really?" He looked at her. "Because I was told this is where the truth begins." "Who told you that?" He hesitated. "The Reverend." Her face went hard. "He's dead. Number he's hiding. No one hides from Ledger." "He did." She looked toward the window. The wind pressed against it. Soft. Slow. Clay said, "He's the one who told me your name. The real one. Said I'd find you with ash on your hands and fire in your throat." She clutched the quilt square. "He said that?" Clay nodded. She whispered, "This came from my mother's house." After the fire, he sat by the fire, legs outstretched, hands shaking. "You're not going to like the truth," Clay said, "but I'll say it fast." She didn't sit. She stayed by the counter, one hand on the baby's back. "I ain't looking for the truth. I'm looking for names." "Same thing." "Not always." He stared into the flames. "You know that locket wasn't meant for him." "I figured." "Was meant to pass down." "To who?" "First daughter born to Ledger's blood." She didn't move. "That ain't a girl." "No." "Then why?" "Because he didn't get what he wanted." She stepped forward. "Say it plain." Clay looked at her. "The sheriff's boy was born in the well house." She blinked. "That's not possible." "It is." "I burned it." "Not before." The room felt smaller. The fire hissed like it knew something. She whispered, "Whose child is he?" "Ledger's." "Number who's the mother?" Clay looked away. "That's what I came to tell you." "Say it." "You." The silence rang louder than the fire. She took a step back. "No," she said. "Yes." She clutched the child tighter. "That ain't—" "It is." "I never carried." "You were too young to remember." "They drugged you." She shook her head. "You're lying." "I ain't." She sat down slowly, like the floor might break. "I'd know." "You wouldn't." "I'd feel it. They cut you open, took him early, left you in the orchard to bleed." She stared at the baby. His breath was light, eyes wide, like he recognized her. "You saying I'm saying they made a mother out of you before you had a name for it." She felt cold all the way through. Clay added, "You weren't the first." She whispered, "But I was the last." He nodded. "That house you burned," he said. "It didn't kill him." "I wanted it to." "I know. They told me I dreamed it." "You didn't." "They said I had a fever." "You did, but not from heat." She stood again. The baby stirred. "I don't believe you." "You should." "Why?" "Because he's got your locket." She looked at the boy. His cheeks round, his eyes full of something ancient. She said, "He shouldn't have survived." "He did." "He shouldn't be walking this world." "He ain't walking. He's carried." She whispered, "How old is he?" 3. She blinked. "That's not right." "I know." "He looks like one." "He doesn't grow normally." Her voice cracked. "Why?" "Because the well doesn't give birth to normal things." She turned fast. "You said I was his mother." "You were." "Then don't call him a thing." "I'm saying what Ledger said." She gritted her teeth. "Ledger doesn't speak the truth." "No, but he speaks of plans." She stared at Clay. "You helped him." "I fixed boots. I closed my mouth. I watched. You did nothing." "I waited." "For what?" "For someone who'd light a fire and not look back." She looked at the baby. He reached for her necklace. Not the locket, a different one. Rusted, flat. She said, "He remembers?" "Maybe." "Do you?" "Some." "What part?" "The screaming." She swallowed. "He was born wrong," Clay said. "No breath, no sound, just eyes." "Eyes like mine?" "Number eyes like his." She knelt, held the baby up. He giggled. "You sure?" "About what?" "That he's mine." "Yes." "How?" "He calms in your arms, that's how." "That's not proof." "Number, but it's enough." She traced the boy's cheek. He leaned in. Clay said, "He knows who carried him." "Does he know who burned him?" "He doesn't blame you." "I blame myself." "You shouldn't." She rocked the baby. He didn't fuss. She whispered, "Why now?" "Because Ledger's dying." "Good." He wants the boy back. He can't have him. He sent me to get him. And you brought him here? I lied. Why? Because he doesn't deserve another mouth to poison. She looked down. And I do? Clay leaned forward. You're the only one who could raise fire and still be soft. She said, I'm not soft. You held him like you remembered him. I hold what's mine. He is. She turned to the fire. Then what now? Clay stood, wobbled. We bury the past. Where? Where it crawled out. The well. He nodded. She looked at the child. And if he remembers? Then we tell him the truth. She looked up. Fast? Clay nodded. Fast. She held the boy tight, said nothing, then whispered what she already knew. The baby's his. The sheriff's. Born in the well house you burned down. The woods were too quiet. The trees bent as if listening. She stepped slowly through the underbrush, boots sinking in soft dirt. Clay followed 3 paces behind, carrying the child. Neither spoke. The wind rustled once and stopped. Too still, she said. Clay nodded. They know we're here. She glanced back. Who? Whatever's left. They reached the ridge. Beyond it, the land dipped into blackened soil and twisted timbers. She stopped. This was ash. Not anymore. The old trail was there, overgrown but clear. Same curve, same slope. Her feet remembered it before her mind did. She pointed. That oak's still standing. Clay adjusted the baby. Means no one's touched it. Or no one dared. They stepped into the clearing. The well house frame stood intact. She froze. Clay whispered, You burned this. I did. Not enough. The stone ring of the well sat dead center. The cover was there, unmoved, just like the day she left it. Why's it standing? She asked. Some things don't fall. Everything falls. Not what's built on lies. She moved toward the well, each step heavier than the last. The baby started to fuss. Clay rocked him. He knows this place. Don't let him cry. I won't. She circled the well house. The beams were charred at the base, but the roof was untouched. She muttered, That's not right. Clay didn't answer. The baby reached toward the stones. His fingers twitched. He's drawn to it. I see that. She stepped to the edge. I looked down. Nothing but darkness. Clay asked, You smell that? Pine and something wet. He pointed. Roof's new. She looked up. Number it just never burned. Is that possible? No. Clay moved to the far side, kicked at the dirt. He bent down, lifted something half buried. It was a spoon, bent, blackened. He held it up. This is yours. Number my sister's. You sure? I remember her chewing on it. Clay dropped it. She knelt by the well, pressed her palm to the cover. Still cold, she said. Clay approached. You gonna open it? Not yet. Why not? Because something's waiting. For what? For me. The wind blew again. The trees leaned. The sky dimmed without clouds. She whispered, He brought girls here. I know. Not just mine. No. I saw their hair tied to the beams. Clay nodded. I saw their dresses in piles. Ledger kept everything. She stood. I burned them, one by one. All their names. All their blood. Clay looked past her. Someone's watching. She turned. Nothing but trees. But she felt it. Where? Back near the trail. How many? Just one. She stared hard. The trees swayed. Clay said, They'll wait. Let them. The baby was quiet now, staring at the well. She said, This place doesn't breathe right. Clay shifted. You ready? No. We can come back. We won't. She knelt again, ran her fingers along the rope slot in the cover. No dust. Means it's been moved. Or never stopped moving. She gripped the edge. Clay said, Don't. I have to. Not alone. She looked at him. I've always been alone. The baby made a soft sound. Clay hushed him. She braced her boots, lifted. The cover creaked. Heavy, wet. She grunted, pulled harder. The circle opened. Dark air rushed up. Clay stepped back. The baby whimpered. She peered down. No end, just black, and the faint smell of iron. She whispered, The rope's still there. Clay leaned over. Can't be. She pointed. Look. A coil, slick and twisted, hung from the wheel. And at the bottom, drip. Clay said, Water? No. Then what? She didn't answer. The baby reached again, toward the dark. Clay pulled him back. Don't. The rope shifted. Clay jumped. She didn't. She leaned closer. Drip. Another sound followed. Click. Metal on stone. Clay whispered, "You hear that?" "Yeah." "What is it?" "Memory." The rope moved again. She stood fast. Clay held the baby close. She said, "Something's still tied to it." "What?" "Whatever Ledger couldn't bury." The wind picked up, a howl, low and long. Clay said, "Time to go." "Not yet." The baby started to cry. Clay rocked him, but it didn't help. The child screamed. She shouted, "Cover it." Clay grabbed the lid, pulled it over. The sound stopped. The crying stopped. Everything went still again. She backed away. Clay panted. The baby blinked, silent now. She said, "That well never caved." Clay nodded. "And it never will." She walked past him. He followed. Behind them, the trees whispered, and the well waited. She packed her bag. 3 shirts, 1 pistol, a blade small enough to hide in a boot. The baby shrieked the moment light fell through the window. It cut across the room like a blade, catching in the dust. She dropped the bag, rushed to him. "It's just morning," she said. He howled louder. Clay leaned against the frame. "That's the 3rd time." "I know." "Are you sure he's not sick?" "He's not." She cradled him, rocking back and forth. His fists curled, his mouth opened wider. Clay asked, "You feeding him?" "He won't take milk." "Water." "He spits it out." Clay stepped closer. "Let me try." She shook her head. "He wants out." Clay crouched. "Then why scream when you open the door?" She didn't answer. The baby kicked against her chest. She paced. His wail filled the room like smoke. Clay said, "Yesterday he was quiet. Yesterday we stood over a hole. And today he cries in the dust." She looked at the light. "I watched the particles float. He doesn't like the sun," she said, "or what it touches." She walked to the window, pulled the curtain across. The room dimmed. The baby stopped crying. Clay whispered, "That ain't normal." "I know." "Have you ever seen a child cry like that?" "No." "Not even your sisters?" She shook her head. He stood. "We need to move." "He won't let us." "We can carry him." "He screams." "So let him scream." "No." Clay studied her. "You're scared." "I ain't." "You're lying." She sat with the baby. "I think he remembers." "Remember what?" "The well." Clay swallowed. "That's not possible." She looked up. "Isn't it?" He said nothing. She ran a hand down the child's back. He trembled under her palm. She asked, "Have you ever seen a baby cry in the dust?" "No." She held the locket in her other hand. It was warm. "He knows," she whispered. Clay leaned against the wall. "Then what do we do?" "We stay in the dark." "We can't live like that." "He already is." The baby opened one eye. I watched the dust swirl beneath the curtain. Clay said, "You can't raise a child in the shadows." "You think he belongs in light?" "I think he belongs with you." She shook her head. "He doesn't belong anywhere." Clay crossed the room, sat beside her. "Let me hold him," he said. She hesitated. "He knows me too." She passed the baby over. He didn't cry, just blinked. Clay rocked him. "Quiet now," he said, "like he's waiting." "For what?" "For the ground to shift again." She stood. "I'm going out." "Where?" "The shed." Clay nodded. "You sure?" "No." She opened the door. The light spilled in. The baby shrieked again. Clay backed away. "Go." She stepped out. The air smelled like smoke. She looked around. The yard was still. The swing creaked once. In the shed, she dug through a chest, pulled out old blankets. One had red stitching. Another was lined in burlap. She found a third, pale blue, worn soft. She folded them under her arm and walked back inside. Clay had shut the curtain again. The baby was calm. She laid the blankets out. Let the baby choose. He touched the burlap. Clay raised a brow. "Why that one?" "It's the oldest." "Maybe it remembers too." She lifted the baby onto it. He curled up, slept. They both watched. Clay said, "We're not ready." "No." "Are we running?" "We can't." "Then what?" "We wait." "For what?" "For night." Clay rubbed his hands together. "He's not going to stop this." "No." "You think the land's cursed." "I think the people are. Ledger. And all before him." He stood. "We should leave anyway." She shook her head. "He won't go far." "Then what?" "We bury something." "What?" "Whatever's calling him back." Clay said, "And if it's you?" She didn't flinch. "Then bury me too." The baby stirred. The dust hung in the light like ash. She whispered, "He ain't crying 'cause of hunger." Clay nodded. "He's crying 'cause the ground knows him." The baby knocked over a loose plank. She turned quickly. The board near the stove had popped up just enough to catch her eye. The baby sat beside it, blinking. Clay looked up from the chair, one boot off, rubbing his shoulder. "You hear that?" she asked. He nodded. "Sounded hollow." She set the baby aside and knelt. The board moved with ease, like it had been lifted before. She wedged her fingers in and pulled. Dust rose. Cobwebs clung. Beneath the plank sat something wrapped in waxed paper, tight, yellowed, bound with twine. She didn't breathe, just pulled it out, slow. Clay leaned forward. "What is it?" She didn't answer, sat cross-legged and unwrapped it on her lap. The paper crinkled. A faint smell, old ash and dried sweat, rose with it. Inside, folded pages, thin, cursive, scrawled sharp across the top. She stared at the handwriting, her throat closed. Clay asked again, "What is it?" She whispered, "My father." Clay stood. She ran her thumb along the first page. It was dated 3 days before he vanished. Clay moved closer. "What's it say?" She read, quiet. "Ledger owns the well now. Says it belongs to his family. Says it's the only place God doesn't look." Clay stayed still. She kept going. "He brought a girl there yesterday. Said her name was Mercy. She ain't 12. She ain't from town." Her voice dropped. "He said it's the price we pay for silence." Clay looked away. She flipped the page. There were names, dozens. Most she knew. Some she didn't. Each marked with an age, a town, a price. At the bottom, her name, circled. She didn't speak for a long time. Clay asked, "Is it a ledger?" She shook her head. "It's a confession." She flipped to the last page. It was written fast. The ink smudged. A fingerprint blurred the edge. She read aloud, "If you find this, I'm gone. I tried to stop him, but he traded something bigger, said I owed him, said it was either the orchard or the daughter." Clay whispered, "What orchard?" "Mine." She touched the edge of the page. Her nails trembled. The last line was scrawled hard, the pen nearly torn through the paper. One word, circled in what wasn't ink. She said it quietly. "Trade." Clay moved to the window, pulled the curtain. "I knew your daddy was tied up with Ledger," he said. "But not this." "No." "Then how'd you know my name?" "Your sister said it." "When?" "Right before she died." She stared at him. "She whispered, told me to find you, told me you'd burn the world down if you had to." She folded the letter slowly. Her eyes stayed on the last word. Clay asked, "You think it's true?" She nodded. "Ledger didn't take it from us. He bought us." She stood. The paper crinkled in her hand. She walked to the baby. "Hold the letter up." He didn't look away. Clay asked, "You think he remembers this too?" "I think it's in his blood." She walked to the stove, pulled out the drawer. Inside, under the cutlery, was a tin box. She opened it. Old matchbooks, a few coins, a bullet. She placed the letter inside. Clay said, "Why keep it?" "To remind me what silence costs." She slid the box shut. The baby made a small sound, not quite a laugh. She turned. "He's quiet now." He felt it. Clay knelt, ran a hand across the open floorboard. He pulled out a second envelope. "What's that?" she asked. He handed it to her. She opened it. Inside, no writing, just a photograph. Her mother, younger, holding her and her sister, a quilt draped behind them. She held it tight. "I didn't know this existed," Clay whispered. "They took everything, but they hid what mattered." She said, "You think he knew I'd find this?" "Your father?" She nodded. "I think he hoped you would." She looked down at the open floor. The dust settled. She whispered, "He didn't run. No. He gave me a choice. And Ledger made it for you." She closed the plank, stood. The baby crawled to her feet, looked up, smiled. She lifted him. He pressed his hand to her chest, right above her heart. Clay said, "You feel that?" She nodded. "He ain't just a boy. No. He's what Ledger took and what your daddy gave." She held the baby close. The wind creaked outside. The trees knocked gently. She looked at Clay. "We end it." He nodded. She whispered again, "Trade." "These weren't here last spring," she said, touching the mound. Clay stepped beside her. "How many?" She walked slowly, counted under her breath. 7. He looked at the soil. Fresh, uneven, too shallow. No markers. No names. She crouched, ran her hand over one of the ridges. Someone buried fast, someone buried scared. He asked, "Could it be an animal?" She shook her head. "Too neat." The baby reached from Clay's arms, pointed to the last mound. No cry, just a quiet sound from his throat. She looked at the child. "You see it?" He made a low hum. "Like remembering." Clay asked, "What is it?" She whispered, "Not what. Who?" Clay adjusted his grip. "You think Ledger did this?" "He doesn't bury." "Then who?" She stood. "Somebody who still feels guilt." She moved to the last mound. The grass hadn't even taken root. The baby made the sound again. Clay said, "That's the same tune he made in the dark. He's not humming." "What then?" "He's echoing." She crouched beside the dirt, dug a little with her fingers, just to see. Soft soil. Below, cloth. Faded pink. Clay said, "Stop. I need to know." "You already do." She pulled back, stood, wiped her hands on her dress. "They buried girls," she said. "Why here?" "Because the orchard's full." Clay stared at her. "You mean—" She nodded. "Every tree's got a name under it." The baby shifted in his arms. She looked at the boy. He stared straight ahead, still humming, still calm. Clay whispered, "He's never this quiet." She said, "He's home." Clay shook his head. "That's not right." "It's the truth." They walked the line of graves, each one the same length, same curve, no stone, no cross, just earth. She pointed. "That one's newer." "How can you tell?" "It still smells like pine." Clay crouched. "Boot prints." She nodded. "Someone came in the night." He brushed his hand across the track. "Small foot, maybe a woman." She looked up. "You think it was her?" "Who?" "The midwife." "She's gone." "She never left." Clay stood. "You think she did this?" "She helped bring him in. Now she's putting him down," she said. "That's how she prays." The baby blinked slowly. A tear rolled down his cheek. No sound, just that hum. Low, even, familiar. She froze. Clay asked, "What?" She whispered, "That tune." "What about it?" "She used to sing it." "Who?" "My sister." Clay held the baby out. "He knows it?" "She'd hum it when she walked the orchard." "You sure?" "Yes." "Then how's he—" "I don't know." The baby kept humming. Clay stepped back. "He's not just remembering." "No. He's channeling." She didn't speak. Clay said, "You think she's in him?" "No." "Then what?" "She's near." The wind shifted. The air smelled like sugar and soil. Clay looked around. "We're not alone." She turned. "We haven't been for days." He rocked the child. "Should we leave?" She shook her head. "This is her ground." "She wants you here?" "She wants me to see." The baby reached toward the last grave. She walked toward it, slowly, kneeling once more, pressed her palm flat to the dirt. It was warm. She gasped. "Still breathing." Clay said, "That's not possible." She looked up. "You felt it too." He didn't answer. The baby hummed louder now, the melody dipping, lifting, like a lullaby turned backward. She touched the cloth again. More threads, this time embroidered. She read it aloud. "Wren." Clay blinked. "That's my name." She whispered, "But I'm not in the ground." "No." The baby stopped humming. Clay held his breath. She pulled the cloth free. It was a scrap of quilt, blue and rust, the same pattern from her mother's house. Clay crouched. "This ain't a grave." "No." "It's a message." She stood. "Someone wants me to remember." Clay asked, "Remember what?" She turned. "What I gave up." The baby whimpered. She took him from Clay, held him against her chest. His head rested where the letter had been hidden. She whispered, "He's not crying. He's never been calm this long." She said, "Because the land's singing back." Clay didn't speak. She walked to the orchard edge. The trees bent with wind but not sound. She touched a trunk. The bark peeled easily. Underneath, scratched letters. She read them. "M.R." Clay whispered, "Your mother." She nodded. "Next one," he said. They walked tree to tree. Each had initials. Each told a story. She said, "They made a map." Clay asked, "To what?" She looked behind her, toward the mounds. "Not what. Who?" The baby began to hum again. Clay closed his eyes. "That's not his voice." "No." She whispered, "It's hers." "I fixed souls," he said, "but not just boots. I fixed what men ran in men." She sat quiet across from him, the baby on her lap, asleep. Her hand still rested on the quilt scrap they'd pulled from the grave. Clay didn't blink. I wasn't always in leather. What then? I stitched bloodlines. She narrowed her eyes. Say that again. I made men look pure on paper. You forged names. I scrubbed them, moved them, hide them in churches, on deeds, in birth records. She leaned forward. You altered family trees. He nodded. Ledger paid me to erase what tied him to the first girls. She whispered. You buried blood. Buried names. What did he give you? Peace. That doesn't exist. It did. For a while. She held the baby tighter. You helped him. Yes. You lied to me. No. You said you saved this child. I did. But you helped Ledger take others. I did. Then why now? Clay rubbed his jaw. Because I saw the list. What list? The one he kept locked under the barn floor. Her breath caught. He called it the harvest. She stood. Don't. I have to. She shook her head. That word. I know. Are you saying my sister was on that? Clay nodded. With the price beside her. She turned away. He said, Ledger believed if he bred from pain, he'd make sons with power. He's not God. No, he's not even a man. He's a rot that grows. She walked to the window. I looked out at the orchard. How many names? Over 30. She whispered. He sold silence. I kept the pages. Where? In my boot. She turned back. You carry names in leather? Stitched into the lining. She sat down again. You think that makes you better? No. Then why tell me now? Because I saw your sister's name twice. She froze. What? Once with her age, and once with the child's. She looked at the boy. He slept deep, peaceful. Clay said, Ledger didn't just take from you. She whispered, he made us give. He leaned in. She was supposed to deliver, but she fought. She was 16. She broke the cord, tried to drown the child. Her voice cracked. She failed. He lived. That's not life. He coughed once. Then I cried, loud enough to make Ledger laugh. She clenched her fists. I watched from the barn, Clay said. Did nothing. You're good at that. He looked down. I paid. Number you watched children die. I buried them. In silence. I carried their shoes to the edge of town, laid them at the church doors. She blinked. That was you? Every week. They thought it was ghosts. Better than truth, she said. You're no shoemaker. I was Ledger's bookkeeper. She looked at the child again. And now I'm just what's left. She asked, Did you know my mother? He hesitated. She kept names too. Where? In the seams of quilts. Her jaw tightened. Ledger burned them. He kept one. Her heart sank. Which one? The red one, with the pine stitching. That was mine. He kept it under his bed. She stood. I need it. You'll have to go through him. I plan to. Clay leaned back. He won't be alone. He never was. You still got fire? Numbered just ash. He smiled. Ash burns too. She sat again. The baby stirred. A low hum rose from his chest. She said, He's been doing that more. It's a memory. It's more than that. Clay nodded. It's bloodline screaming. She touched the child's forehead. He knows what was taken. He'll carry it. Number I will. Clay looked away. I was supposed to destroy the child. She froze. What? Ledger gave him to me, said drowned him in the pond. Walk away. You didn't. I tried. She stood. What stopped you? He smiled. She stared. Right before I dropped him, Clay said. He smiled like he knew me. He did. I couldn't do it. She whispered. You don't get redemption. I'm not asking. She walked to the door. You're going to help me get that quilt. Clay stood. You know what's on it? Yes. He nodded. Me too. The baby shifted. She said, You're still carrying those names? He's sorry. Reached into his boot, pulled out a thin sheet, folded small. She took it. It unfolded slowly. There, in small, neat print, columns, towns, dates, names, ages. Her finger stopped. My sister. Clay pointed lower. The baby. She read the line. Child of trade. Marked to return. Clay whispered. Ledger thinks he's owed. He thinks wrong. She folded the paper, slipped it in her pocket. You ready? She asked. Clay looked at the child. He wanted a child. That's why he took your sister. She opened the door. That's why he'll come now. She dug, with her hands, with her teeth. Clay stood back, holding the lantern. The barn groaned above them, the boards warping with age. The baby slept in a basket near the door, wrapped in the quilt with the frayed corners. The air reeked of dirt and rot. She scraped the packed earth with her nails. He said the tunnel was here. Clay said, under the stone feed trough. It ain't stone. It's ash-covered brick. She clawed harder. Her fingers bled. Clay set down the lantern and joined her. Use this, he said, handing her a rusted trowel. She didn't take it. I said I'd do it myself. He crouched anyway, dug next to her. The ground softened the deeper they went. Clay's palm hit something hard. Here, she brushed away the dirt. A square board, wide and sealed in tar. A hatch, she whispered. Clay found the edge. It's nailed down. Not for long. She grabbed the crowbar from the wall, wedged it deep, and pulled. The wood cracked, popped. The smell hit first. Clay covered his nose. God. She dropped in. Wait, he said, but she was already below. The tunnel was narrow, damp. Cold air coiled around her ankles. She moved fast, hands brushing stone, crawling low. Clay dropped in after her. Light. She took the lantern he passed down. The walls narrowed. This ain't just a root cellar. It's older. Preacher's time? Earlier. She stepped forward. Her foot hit bone. She stopped. Clay raised the light. Bones. Dozens. Child-sized. Laid neat in rows. Each had a cloth bundle tied at the neck. Faded fabric. Buttons clutched in skeletal hands. She knelt. They stitched them, she said. Burial shrouds. No. She turned one over. A tiny patch. A name stitched in red. She read it aloud. Hollis. Clay closed his eyes. She lifted another bundle. I opened it. Inside, a lock of hair, a marble, a key. These are memory pouches. Clay nodded. Ledger's trophies. Number these came from mothers. He looked at her. They sent them with the girls. You're sure? I made this one. She held up a square. When I was 7. Clay backed away. That means they kept the children, but they made us wrap them. Her hands shook. They told us it was a blessing. Clay sat. Against the wall. Ledger turned mothers into mourners. She opened another pouch. Inside, a silver pin. Her mother's. She collapsed. The light flickered. Clay whispered, he built this under your barn. Number he built the barn over this. She looked up. The beams above were blackened. Fire came through here, she said. Not from above. From within. Clay leaned close. You smell that? Pine pitch. He burned the tunnel once. Didn't finish the job. She moved deeper. A wooden door blocked the next chamber. She touched it. Warm. Don't open it. I have to. You don't. They need to be seen. Clay didn't move. She unlatched it. Inside, a circular room. Stone walls, a raised platform. In the center, a chair, small, made of bone. She didn't speak. Clay's voice cracked. He sat them here. The chair faced a wall of carvings. Names, numbers, phrases etched deep. She stepped closer. One line repeated. Born for fire. Kept by rope. She traced it with her fingers. This is where he made them choose. Clay whispered, which ones to keep? She turned. Why build it under me? He wanted you to return. Why? You lit the first fire. She looked down. At her feet, more bones. Smaller than the rest. Newer. The baby's hum echoed from above. She stood. We bury them, she said. All of them? Yes. Clay said, that'll bring the sheriff. He's coming anyway. They backed out, sealed the hatch, covered it with hay. She held the lantern high and looked once more across the barn. He's here, the shoemaker said, pistol shaking in his palm. She didn't ask how he knew. The baby had been screaming for 20 minutes straight. No fever, no hunger, just a shriek that scraped the walls. Clay stepped away from the window. No horse. She looked up from the child. He walked? Through the orchard, hat in hand, like he's bringing peace. But he's not. No. She stood, rocked the baby harder. He wouldn't stop. Clay said, you still got that letter? In the drawer. Get it. I don't need proof. He'll lie. Let him. Clay cocked the hammer. You gonna talk? I'm gonna bury him. They waited. The baby's cries thickened, guttural, panicked. She whispered, he smells him. Clay muttered, the ground does too. Footsteps on gravel. No horse sounds. No breath but theirs. She opened the front door before he could knock. Ledger stood there, boots caked in soil, shirt unbuttoned at the top, the hat clutched in his hand like it meant manners. His smile didn't. "Wren," he said. She didn't reply. He looked past her. "Clay, you're bleeding again." Clay lifted the gun. "Don't care." Ledger stepped 1 foot onto the porch. "I came to collect what's mine." She stepped forward. "You lost that right the day you wrote my name in red." He looked at the baby. "He's mine by blood." "No." He smirked. "You don't believe in blood. I believe in what it costs." Ledger tilted his head. "You burned my house. You built it with girls. You ran. I came back." He looked at Clay. "And you. Traitor now?" "I'm a witness." Ledger shrugged. "Witnesses burn." She said, "So do sheriffs." He smiled again. "Not this one." The baby cried louder. Ledger leaned toward the sound. She stepped between them. He said, "He's got my jaw. He's got my fire. You gave him nothing." "I gave him back to the dirt." Ledger's voice dropped. "He's marked for return." She said, "He's already home." Clay raised the pistol. Ledger raised his hands. "Won't help," Ledger said. "Even if you shoot me, others will come. No one follows you anymore." He laughed. "They follow power. Then they're blind." Ledger took 1 step closer. "Give me the boy." She held the baby higher. "Say his name." Ledger blinked. "What?" "If he's yours, say his name." Ledger paused. "He doesn't have one yet." "Wrong answer." She stepped back. Clay cocked the hammer again. Ledger asked, "You really gonna do this?" "Yes." "You think killing me makes you clean?" "Number it makes the orchard quieter." Ledger glanced at the baby. "He won't sleep long. He'll always cry for what he came from. He came from a grave. He came from my blood. You bled girls. That's not the same." Clay said, "You should have ridden in. You look weak on foot." Ledger smiled again. "You think this ends here?" She nodded. "It does." He looked at the house. "It still smells like your mama's bread." She didn't flinch. "It still smells like her bones." He sighed. "I'm tired, Wren." "Then lay down." He took 1 more step. "Give him to me, and I'll walk away." She whispered, "I'll carry him through your ashes." Clay said, "Enough." Ledger looked at the pistol. "You got 1 shot." "I only need 1. Ledger turned to her. "That locket belongs to my son. Hand him over." She pulled the candle close, fingers on the yellowed page. The ink bled faint, where sweat touched the edge. The church attic was hotter than she remembered. Quiet, too, except for Clay below, watching the stairs. "Anything?" he called. "Almost," she said. The books were stacked rough and unnumbered. No index, just names. She opened another. The spine cracked. Dust flaked off like ash. The baby slept in a satchel across her chest, breath even. He hadn't cried since Ledger stepped off the porch. Clay called again. "We don't have long." She turned the page. Her breath stopped. "Wren," she read, aloud. Clay shifted below. "That's yours." She didn't answer, just traced her name with her thumb. Next to it, a number, 2 digits, then a note, marked, sent, sealed. She whispered, "He used scripture terms." Clay stepped onto the first stair. "What does it mean?" "It means he thought God let him do it." She flipped to the next page. Her sister's name. Same note, different numbers. A third name followed. No age, just initials. MR. She swallowed. Clay asked, "Your mother?" She nodded. "I thought she died in the fire." "She did. So what's it doing there?" She turned to him. "She was the first. We just never knew it." The baby stirred. She rocked him, 1 hand still on the book. Clay moved closer. "There's more?" "Yes." "How many?" "Pages." She sat down on the floor, opened the next volume. The ledger was thicker, bound tight. The candle flickered. She read names, girls, boys, families, each marked with symbols. A small cross beside some, a loop beside others. Clay knelt beside her. "What do they mean?" She shook her head. "I think the cross means chosen." "And the loop." "Traded," he whispered. "So some were offered." She didn't speak. He reached for the book. "Let me help." She let him. He opened another section. Birth dates, matches to initials, bloodlines. He whispered, "It's breeding." She nodded. He flipped further, paused. What? He turned the book toward her. It was a page with 2 columns. On the left, women's names. On the right, prices. At the top, written in red ink, deliveries and donations. She read it once, then again. Her lips moved, but no sound came. She whispered, "This isn't a ledger." "What is it?" "A bill of sale." She leaned over, ran her finger across the amounts. Her name, $10. Her sister's, $15. Her mother's, paid in full. Clay looked at her. "What does that mean?" She said nothing. He asked again. Her voice shook. "It means she was bought before she married, before we were born." The baby let out a tiny cry. She held him close. "He inherited us." Clay stood, walked to the wall, punched it hard. The candle danced in its holder. She closed the book. "I wanted evil," she said. "I wanted him to be evil." "He is." He's worse." She stood. I looked at the locked box on the top shelf. Clay said, "That's his." She nodded. "The Reverend's safe." "You know the code." "I remember the sound." She turned the dial. The click echoed. The door creaked open. Inside, more pages. Older ink. Pages stitched, not bound. She pulled one out. The handwriting was different, narrower, almost elegant. She read it quietly. Clay asked, "What now?" She said, "This was before Ledger." "His father? His grandfather?" The note read, "We promise flesh in exchange for favor." Clay stepped closer. "You sure?" "Yes." These books go back generations. They kept records of every deal. She put the book back, took one last look. Then she said, "We're not just victims." "What are we?" "We're inventory." The baby stopped crying. Clay said, "That boy'll carry all of this." She whispered, "Not alone." She turned to the final page. At the bottom, in newer ink, her name was written again, not just Wren. Wren of Fire. Clay asked, "What's that mean?" She stared at the page. "It means I'm not the end." Clay whispered, "You're the weapon." She didn't blink. Then she said the thing she didn't want to say. "I thought he just took girls, but he bought us." The sheriff grabbed the child. The baby let out one long scream, sharp, high, unending. Wren lunged too late. Clay shouted. The pistol fired. Missed. Ledger didn't flinch. The baby wailed louder. Clay pulled again. Empty. Ledger smiled. "You think you can undo me with rust?" She stepped forward. "Put him down." The baby's scream broke into silence. Ledger stared. "What's wrong with him?" The child blinked. Mouth open, no sound, no breath. Wren's voice dropped. "You broke him." Ledger looked down. The baby didn't move. Didn't blink again. Clay whispered, "He's gone quiet." "Not gone," Wren said. "Changed." Ledger shifted the child in his arms. "He's heavier," she said. "Let him go." The sheriff grinned. "He knows me." The baby reached up, touched Ledger's chest. Clay stepped sideways. "Wren, I see it." The baby's hand pressed harder. Ledger winced. "He's burning." "Keep holding him." "No." "You wanted him." Ledger gritted his teeth. "He's mine." "Then carry the weight." The baby's locket swung against Ledger's shirt. It began to glow. Clay whispered, "Wren, look." She nodded. "I see it." The locket turned red. Ledger's skin steamed. He screamed. The baby didn't move, just stared. Wren stepped forward. "He remembers." Ledger tried to drop him, couldn't. His hands locked, arms rigid. Clay shouted, "His eyes." They glowed now, dim but pulsing. Ledger dropped to one knee. "Get him off me," Wren said. "You bound him. Now he binds you." "I'll kill him." "You tried." Clay raised the poker from the fire. "Wren, wait." The baby blinked once. The locket burst into flames. Ledger screamed again. His eyes went red, then black. Blood ran down his face. He clawed at his throat. "Help." "No," Wren said. "You'll listen." "To what?" She stepped closer. "To every girl you buried." Ledger gasped. "What is this?" Clay said, "It's your reckoning." The baby exhaled. A long breath. Cold. The fire went out. The locket fell. Ledger collapsed. Silent. Wren picked up the baby. He didn't cry, didn't speak, just rested his head on her chest. Clay lowered the poker. "He's still breathing." She nodded. "He's listening." "To what?" "Ghosts." Ledger twitched. Clay raised the poker again. "He ain't done." "No." Ledger's voice rasped. "You don't know what I gave." "I do." "What I sacrificed." "Your soul." "I never had one." She said, "He'll remember that." Ledger looked at the child. "What is he?" Wren leaned in. "The last thing you'll see." The baby opened his eyes. Ledger screamed again, then stopped. Still. Wren turned away. Clay asked, "What now?" She whispered, "Now we bury the silence." The baby didn't cry. He never would again. "You fix things," she says. "So fix this." Clay stood over Ledger's body, hands still shaking, blood on his boots, smoke on his cuffs. The baby is silent in Wren's arms. Clay looked at her. "What do you want me to do?" "Finish it." Clay stepped back. "He's done." He's paused. Ledger groaned, just once, barely. She said, "You stitched his lies. Now tear them out." Clay looked down. "I ain't that man no more. You were never just a shoemaker." He said nothing. She placed the baby in the crib, walked to Clay, held out the knife. He stared at it. "I ain't killed before." "You buried girls." "After." "You watched him." "I was scared." "You still are?" He didn't answer. Ledger twitched. A cough. A smear of black blood from the corner of his mouth. Wren said, "Do it for them." Clay stared at the body. "He's not dead." "He will be." Clay took the knife. Wren said, "Not his throat." He looked up. "His name," she said. Clay blinked. "What?" "Cut it from his chest, where he kept it proud." Clay crouched, lifted the shirt. Tattooed there, across the ribs, Ledger. Clay whispered, "He marked himself." He wanted them to remember. Clay pressed the blade to the first letter. The skin broke easily. Ledger hissed. Wren said, "Keep going." He cut each letter, slow, deep. Ledger's body jerked, but didn't fight. When it was done, Clay stood, blood on his hands. The knife dropped to the floor. He turned. "It's done." "No." "What now?" She handed him the locket. "This was mine." He held it. "You gave it to him," she said. "Now take it back." Clay walked to the body. Ledger's mouth was half open, tongue swollen, teeth yellow. Clay leaned close. Wren said, "Say it." Clay whispered, "Some things weren't meant to be passed down." He pushed the locket into the sheriff's mouth. Ledger didn't move. Wren lit a match. Clay asked, "You sure?" She dropped it on the body. "Yes." The barn burns behind her, the child cradled in a new patchwork she made herself. Not a single square was stitched from memory. Only present. Blues, dirt tones, threadbare cotton. No initials, no ghosts. Clay stood beside her, smoke rising in his eyes. "You sure you don't want to take anything?" She shook her head. "It was never ours." He watched the flames swallow the roof. "Still feels wrong." "It feels clean." The baby didn't move. His eyes stayed shut, hands curled, breathing soft. Wren said, "He hasn't made a sound since Ledger." Clay looked at her. "You worried?" "No." "Not even a little?" "He screamed enough for 3 lifetimes." Clay nodded. "He's still in there." "He's just resting." The fire cracked louder. One beam snapped, shooting sparks into the orchard. Clay said, "That'll draw attention. They're too scared to come." He shifted. "I should bury what's left." "You already did." They watched the blaze fall to its knees. She walked to the porch, laid the baby down on a folded blanket. Not the quilt, just soft cloth. Clay followed. "You gonna keep him?" he asked. "I already have." "And when will he grow?" "I'll tell him everything." "All of it?" "Yes." "You sure?" "No." She stood, took the quilt. I walked to the rail, hung it there, let the wind catch it. Clay asked, "Why that spot?" She said, "It's where my mama used to dry the cloth." He stepped beside her. "You think she'd be proud?" "No." He waited. "She'd be relieved," Wren said. "That it's over." Clay looked at the baby. "Not for him." But he'll carry it better than I did." They stood quiet. The last of the barn collapsed. Sparks drifted like dead birds. Clay asked, "You want me to stay?" She didn't answer. He said, "Just for the night?" She turned. "You already have." Clay nodded once. "Then I'll come back in the morning." "You'll bring wood." "And nails." She looked at the quilt. He said, "You stitched it well." She whispered, "I didn't stitch it for warmth." Clay asked, "Then why?" "To remind him who he belongs to." She picked the baby up, held him against her shoulder. His breath was even, his hands still. She sat on the porch, the locket in her pocket. "The baby is breathing even."